So what happened? 1,000 subscribers. I'll be honest, I never really expected the channel to grow this much. I started the channel back in January 2021. I was originally only planning to just do a little bit of lore videos just because I was so excited for Replicant, but in the end I actually really enjoyed the process of making videos. As some of you might know, I typically try to only post once a month. Not because I don't want to upload, it's just because I really don't have the capability to upload multiple times a day or even a week. My job is highly stressful sometimes, and to the point where I just come home not wanting to do anything major. And as weird as it sounds, doing research on a pretty admittedly depressing series isn't really appropriate when I have to deal with crises that can lead to some awful things happening to people. And so I wanted to say thank you guys, and to show my appreciation, I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to get to know me a little more with a little bit of a Q&A kind of thing. Otaru and Diego Hernandez asked me, how did I start with the Yoko-Verse or the Nier series or Drakengard? To be honest, it all started in 2017 with Automata. I was listening to a podcast, and they're no longer around anymore, and it was called the Super Best Friends Cast. In it was featured 4 hosts from the Machinima team called the Super Best Friends. You've probably heard of them. I don't know if this is like dating myself of how old I am. One of the guys in the podcast, his name is Liam, and he was admittedly a huge Nier fan. The other co-hosts were kind of making fun of him, saying how bad the series was because, admittedly, the original version of Nier was not the best thing ever. He still loved the series and wanted them to appreciate it for what it was. And when Automata was coming out, he kept on talking about it, and he even mentioned how he was excited for the release date of it, and that there was a demo coming out. Then one day I decided I'm gonna download the demo just for the fun of it, and I fell in love with it. I played Automata all the way through, getting every ending and all the trophies, and then I decided to do the most logical thing ever, and I played Drakengard. No, I did not play the original Nier. I did know about the story of Nier because of Super Bunny Hop and Valkyrie Aurora's videos about it. And so with that, I felt like I was a little caught up, and I wanted to experience Drakengard. I played the original Drakengard on my brother's PC using a PS2 emulator, and as well, I got all of the endings on that, and I hated myself. But then I really wanted to actually get into the original Nier. I literally went scavenger hunting all over town, went to various secondhand stores, swap meets, and I was looking so hard to find a copy of it. Then one day my brother and we went to a GameStop, and lo and behold, there was 2 copies. One for the 360, which was the first one we saw, and the other one for the PS3. I did have a 360 at the time, but it wasn't really my preferred console, and so once we saw the PS3 version was also there, I immediately got that one instead. And then I played that, got all the trophies, and as soon as that happened, I actually went and found Drakengard 3 at another GameStop. Played that, hated that, and I still got all the trophies, and I loved and hated every moment of it. And admittedly, I never really played Drakengard 2 until just recently. Admittedly, I haven't finished it yet, but I do want to finish it and be able to share my experiences about it in some way. I do know what happens in the story, I do know about all the twists, I do know who Noe is, but I still just never got around to finishing yet due to work. Memo and Lynx were asking me as well, if there was to be another sequel, what would I want it to be? Maybe a side story, a spin-off, or have something be covered within the game. I really love the moments of White Chlorination Syndrome. I love the idea of the war against Legion. I love the idea of fighting against them, imagining them as giant kaiju, especially because of the recent events in Reincarnation. But at the same time, I would also really like to see a game about the Kingdom of Night, seeing as how we don't have much information about that area and what kind of things can be happening over there as well. SH1 wanted to know where they can find more lore information, seeing as how they recently finished Replicant and Automata. I did respond to them in the comments, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned this in the video. Grimoire Nier and the Automata World Guides are amazing sources for future information and to expand your knowledge about the series. But as weird as it sounds, there's still a lot of other things like drama CDs, stage plays, random things like that make it kind of important to know about to get a full understanding of the world. Like the whole information about Tyrant, all of his information is in a drama CD. We'll probably make a video about that at some point. And then things like the Witch's Sabbath for Kaine's backstory, and then there were none for Vice's backstory as well. It's just random little things like that make it kind of interesting and complicated to get a full understanding of the world. Honestly, just look up some wikis. If there's a character you're really interested in, look up their wiki and it's probably going to tell you where to get that further information. Rotaro also wanted to know if there was one game to be removed from the series, what would it be? They also did mention to not include Drakengard 2 in this situation, since that would be the easy choice. I'm going to be honest, I was actually not thinking about Drakengard 2 in that situation. I really do enjoy the game. Understandably, Drakengard 2 is not canon with the rest of the series, and it's not really needed to know the full narrative within the Drakengard and Nier universe. But I'm going to be honest, I would get rid of Drakengard 3. I love the game. Don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite games of all time. But at the same time, I don't know, because of all the performance issues, it wasn't really needed to be made. If it was going to be made, it should have been on the PS4 instead, where it probably, hopefully, could have handled the game more better. So, if anything, maybe Drakengard 3. And come to think of it, like if you want to know how Drakengard 3 connects to Drakengard 1, you have to read a side story, and so why not just read the side story at that point? Sure, you would miss out on Accord, and I love Accord, and for everything else, it's not really that important for the full narrative. So I hate to say it, but Drakengard 3, you can go. And lastly, this is a question that had me thinking a lot for the past 17 hours, and Codman wanted to know, who would I consider to be the weakest protagonist of all 5 games? I'm gonna be honest, I think I might have to go with Brother Nier. I feel like without his ability to use Grimoire Vice, he's not really fully there. If they were all to fight against each other in like a big ol' free-for-all kind of thing, I feel like he'd be the first to go. And well, that's all of the questions I have. I hope you guys have an amazing Mother's Day if you are watching this video at the time of release. My next video I'm going to be posting is about Grimoire Vice, and so I'm hoping to get that done within the next couple of weeks. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you later.